Hey Bulls fans, I'm Jonny Pace, number 25 with your Birmingham Bulls. And joining us today, we have Command Sergeant Major Jerry Lewis McClain, highly decorated Army veteran with an impressive resume. Mr. McClain, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely, man. Good to be here. It's exciting, man, to be even among the living there, to just express gratitude of being Army veteran. Army veterans all over the country, all over the world have done a great service to our country, and it's good to see them being celebrated.
100%.
So, always willing to help out any way I can.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's start off by talking about your incredible journey in the military.
Okay.
Could you share with us some key moments that shaped your experience and perspective during your time as Command Sergeant Major of the 2nd Ranger Battalion at Fort Lewis?
Yeah, some things that probably shaped my, just the fact that I wanted to be a soldier. Growing up, I always knew I was going to wear an Army uniform, and so that was ingrained in me from television, watching, a lot of the shows, G.I. Joe, John Wayne, Special Forces, you name it, all the Army shows that was coming on. You only had 2 or 3 channels back in those days. But
yeah,
those shows were paramount in shaping me, of being just a caring American who loved his country and wanted to protect it. Came up talking about the Constitution, came up talking about the Pledge of Allegiance, came up singing the songs, oh beautiful, and all those things were things that really propelled me into wanting to serve, and I did, and I didn't really think I would serve. I thought I served just 1 tour of duty, and I liked it so much that I did 25. So
yeah.
I didn't get out until 25 years later, but it was a wonderful experience for me, and all those things that being brought up raised in Alabama really contributed to who I became and what I was, and even as a Command Sergeant Major. So my mother was instilled upon me was that always never disqualify yourself with the way you look.
Yeah.
And so her thing was always make sure that your appearance is of the best it can be, because people may only get a chance to observe who you are by the way you present yourself, and so, or the way you look. So always present yourself in the best way possible. And if you get a chance to say something, great, but most times you don't. So let your appearance speak for you. And
Yeah.
so that really resonated with me. So I always wanted to be sharp, shiny shoes, creased pants, that kind of thing, pressed down shirt. And those things, man, were, I would say just really was something that just was ingrained in me, that really helped me to become really what I would say just a top class non-commissioned officer who cared about soldiers and who wanted soldiers to be their best.
Yes.
We believe that, if you more sweat in training, less blood in combat. So
Yeah.
that was the attitude. And I have to tell you, being a drill sergeant for 3 years, I learned how to shape men, boys into men, and had a good time doing that for 3 years. I would say there's a lot of Jerry McClains running around out there somewhere, because 3 years of drill sergeant at Fort Benning, Georgia at the time, Fort Moore now, but a lot of soldiers went through our organization, and I was proud to be one of those who put them out there. So.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. Well, actually, one of the first things I noticed when we met was your shiny shoes.
Still to this day, man.
Yeah.
And so you can take us out of the Army, but you can't take the Army out of us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it's still there, man. The shiny shoes thing, just I don't know. Even when I wear some civilian clothes, man, shiny shoes, man.
There you go.
You gotta have shiny shoes.
Hey, it doesn't hurt to look sharp, right?
Part of hey, like Mom said, man, don't let your appearance disqualify you.
Exactly. And did you have family that helped influence your decision?
Actually,
as well.
No, only the closest relative to me at the time was my uncle. I had an uncle who joined the service. I think he was in the Air Force.
Okay.
I wasn't all that impressed with the Air Force. The Air Force wasn't my thing. I wanted to run around in the jungle and eat snake and bite heads off,
Yeah.
kind of thing. And so the Army was the one that was going to give me that. And again, all the shows and the movies and the World War II movies. I mean, it's like, I don't know how many times I watched Private Ryan. I mean,
that's one of my favorites there.
Just watch that so much, because I don't know. For me, it is good versus evil, the good guy, the bad guy, and I always like to think that we're the good guy. So
Yeah.
but those, I would say I had a first cousin who joined the National Guard the year before I joined the Army, and tried to get him to wait for me and that we could go in together. But my parents insisted on that I finish high school, and I'm glad I did because I wanted to quit. I wanted to quit school in the 11th grade, and the parents said, "Nope, nope, you're gonna go all the way. We didn't go all the way, but you're going all the way." So,
get your education first, kind of
absolutely,
thing.
And I thank them today for that because that was really important that I got that done.
For sure.
Yeah. So that was probably the most influence, but I still think television was probably the biggest influence on me.
Yeah.
Just those movies, man, that really made me want to wear the uniform. And you know, my grandmother was against me joining the Army. She didn't want me to join. Nobody in the family had joined the Army, but
yeah.
And Vietnam had just ended, you know, not that long ago, and she really thought I was going to go off the war and probably get killed or something like that, but that didn't happen.
Yeah, because that was probably one of the first wars back then that was publicly televised and heavily reported.
Absolutely.
Not like, you know, just with the technological development at the time, right?
That's correct.
And you get to really see, or people really saw the horrors of war back then.
Yeah,
right?
She really, and she was she was the matriarch of the family, you know,
yes.
you know, she sort of set the tone for everything, but she wavered, and she said, okay, that's because I was insisting on that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so it all worked out, and she's no longer with us now, but I think if she can know, I did quite well. So
yeah. It's funny you say that. I come from a pretty big Italian family, and what nonna says goes. That's how it is. They're top of the food chain in the family, right?
Absolutely.
So your list of awards and decorations is truly impressive. It really is. How did these experiences and achievements influence your approach to leadership in your overall military career?
Well, I would say when I was stationed in Korea in 1978, I went to Korea January 1978, and Korea was quite primitive. Okay, they were still using primitive tools in the fields, and I don't know. It was just way behind us. You know, they didn't have cars.
Yeah.
Only people who had cars were taxi drivers, and the way they got around, all the taxi cabs were the same color, and there was no other cars unless you was rich. If you were rich, you might see one black one, you know, upscale kind of thing. But so Korea was a place that really had a lot of restrictions.
Mm-hmm.
We couldn't stay overnight off the base. We had to get a pass. Everything was like very well controlled.
Okay.
Where we couldn't never stay out all night. You could go down. You had to be back by noon. Last bus. If you missed the last bus, I mean, you get in trouble. You lose your pass privileges. So it was very, very controlled. And those things, you know, for me, it just really helped shape me to become a leader at that time. And I had a platoon sergeant at that time who was a ranger. Matter of fact, he was a ranger. He had been a platoon sergeant. He had been a drill sergeant, and he was a ranger, and so that impressed me. And I think that had some influence on me because I admired him for who he was, and they always called on him to do things because he knew how to do everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, like land helicopters. He just knew how to. He was very skilled.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I like that. It was impressive.
Yeah.
And so I began my leadership. My leadership began to unfold in Korea during that time, and I came out of there with I had gotten 2 promotions while I was over there, and that put me in a position where when I came back to the States to continue my military career, I re-enlisted, and I was promoted again to sergeant. So once I got promoted to sergeant, it just sort of took off and kept going. And then of course during that time I wanted to be a drill sergeant. So after being at Fort Lewis there, running around in the wet and cold there of that place in Seattle, man. It's rained up there all the time. I've seen it do 5 things in one day, you know, sleet, snow. Anyway, all that was stuff, you know, just that stuff that sort of got put into who I become, and recognized that, hey, I had the skill set to really be a leader of men.
Yeah.
And once I successfully did that at Fort Lewis, I signed up to go to be a drill sergeant, and that turned out to be a great choice because I was able to come back, be a little closer to home. You know, I was being a drill sergeant at Georgia. I lived in Alabama, so I was able to go home on weekends if I wanted to, that kind of thing. But drill sergeant duty was really a very, very difficult because there's only two of us. There's two drill sergeants per 55, 60 guys, and one of you got to be there with them at all times. And but it was again where I knew I had leadership ability. I had leadership skills. I could train guys. I could get guys to pass all the tests and meet all the requirements of marksmanship. So I just learned ways to do things with the guys that I could quickly teach them to be good soldiers.
It was almost like a learn as you go process.
Yeah,
because it was your first time being in that position as well.
Absolutely,
right?
Absolutely. And so just developing those guys, man, just really proved to be that, hey, I'm pretty good at this. And so I did it for a third year, but the reason why I did it a third year is usually it's a 2-year tour. But the reason why I did a third year because I wanted to go to Airborne Ranger School.
Okay.
And so if you did 3 years, they say, okay, they'll give you what you want. They'll let you go to whatever specialty school you want to go to. Well, I did 3 years, and they let me go to Ranger School and Airborne School. So I went to Airborne and Ranger School after being a drill sergeant.
Yeah, and just kind of backtracking there, you were talking about your upbringing, and it sounds like your mother also instilled some leadership qualities in you from a young age, which I'm sure really played a huge role in your career eventually.
Yeah, it really did. She was a hard worker, and she was all about family, and she was all about, work for what you want, work hard. If you want it, work for it, that kind of thing. So, yeah, it really had a big impact on who I became. Yeah,
for sure.
And my father was in the house as well. So I had, I was raised by both my parents.
Yes.
He was a truck driver. I never wanted to be a truck driver, so I didn't. That didn't rub off on me, to be a truck driver. But I have to say that being there, having my dad in the home was certainly had a lot to do with my discipline.
For sure,
the discipline level of things that I learned. I learned the hard way. Some of his discipline techniques that he imposed on me, and so I got mad about it because he didn't impose it on my younger brothers. So I was the firstborn. So
the oldest.
So I got I sort of got all the big stuff, the whippings and stuff like that, man. So, but anyway, it turned out all right.
Yeah, I'd say so for sure.
Yeah.
Now, when you first went to Ranger School, I'm sure that was no easy task. Walk me through that a little bit, and what was the most difficult part of Ranger School? You got a picture there.
That's a picture there of my Ranger School class, and boy, that was tough stuff. I think I lost 30 pounds. I think I lost 30 pounds in school.
What was your sleep schedule like?
Oh man, we got maybe 1 hour a night.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, because it was always either on guard or you was in leadership. If you was in leadership, you was having to go around and make sure all the guys stayed awake, and so it was a very, very trying time. But hey, I did it again. I was proving to myself that I had the capability to be one of these guys, because I used to criticize Rangers. I used to nobody wants to be a charhead, skinhead Ranger. Nobody wants to be. Well, eventually, I guess the bug got on me that I wanted to be one of them, because I always heard all the great things that they got to do, and I wanted to do them. And so I bought this picture because the guidon, which every class has a guidon that we take through the class with us.
Nice.
And based on the fact of I was placed in leadership 3 times to run the group, to be overall responsible.
So you were in charge of all these guys right here.
Absolutely, because as one of the student rangers, the leadership is always students.
Okay.
They're always the one that put in the leadership position. I was put back in the leadership position 3 times because I was the only one who could get the group to do the things they wanted done. So these guys, these RIs, that's what they're called here, RIs, would put me back in position because the guy that was in there wasn't doing the job, and so they put me back in. After my own tour, I had my one shot at it, and when I had my one shot at it, man, I did so well, they put me back in charge 2 other times because the other guys wasn't getting the job done.
And so how did you, just out of curiosity here, it takes a lot being a leader in any position, whether it's a company, a sports team, anything like that. But being in charge of a special forces unit, that takes a special someone.
Yeah.
And how did you gain the respect of the guys while still being firm and getting them to like you and all that stuff?
Well, I think the biggest thing, and one of the phrases, quotes that I phrased that became sort of a pillow for me was this quote that actually had it hallmarked or whatever, not patent, but put in those journals where, if it's a quote, it's attributed to somebody. Well, this quote is contributed to me. It said, the best example of leadership is leadership by example.
Mm-hmm.
That was my thing. The best example of leadership is leadership by example. So I never asked these guys to do anything I wasn't willing to do.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think the voice, being able to convey what voice control, voice commands to get people to do what I wanted done, I think that went a long way. I showed a lot of confidence, I think, being able to take these guys who, this is a training unit. Okay, we're going through Ranger School.
Okay.
In this group, you have officers, but nobody wears rank. So there's no rank. So you don't know who. Some of you might know who's an officer, but most time you don't.
Mm-hmm.
And you can figure it out. Some of them you can't. But anyway, there's no rank in this group. So you don't have any rank. All you have is position. They give you the position, and you're supposed to command these guys, to get from one place to another. And that's really what my job was.
Mm-hmm.
And it was get them there on time.
Yeah.
And I had a way of doing that, I guess. And I was very good. I had just come off of drill sergeant status, so I knew how to handle a large group.
Sure.
And I knew how to get them from one place to another.
Yeah, that definitely prepared you for that.
So those voice command, just executing in a way that I knew, I exhibited confidence in what I would say to them, and I think that just had a lot to do with again getting all these guys here who are from different parts of the world. Matter of fact, one of the guys in here is a Filipino. He was a great friend of mine. I actually helped him get through Ranger School. I think that's him right there.
Yep.
So you have a lot of foreigners. You have some foreigners in there. I think we had even one Canadian in here. So I think.
A Canadian.
Yeah, there was a Canadian. Yeah, there was a Canadian that went to our class. That was in our class. So Filipino, a lot of foreign people from the South America. You'll see some of those in here as well. But mostly it's Americans, officers,
for sure.
Officers, NCOs.
Nice.
So, but this year, that guy down there is the guy on that I was given at the end of the class. I was given the guy on, which they always give it to the guy who had the most impact. And I had the most impact on that class. And so this year has been with me ever since that time.
That's pretty special.
So, yeah, that's pretty special. So
I like that slogan, studs, not slugs. I like
that's
that.
It, man. Studs, not slugs. That's it, man. That was me. That was me. So that was pretty cool.
I see you got a few other artifacts here. If you want to go through a couple.
Yeah, we can do that. Let's see here. Let me tell you about that one. Sorry about that. This one here. This was in when we was in New England, and we were there to train with the Brits and the Gurkhas.
Yep,
which was pretty cool.
Yep.
We jumped in. Matter of fact, we jumped into Scotland. The Gurkhas were there, and I got a chance to meet Gurkhas for the first time. I only heard about them.
Yeah,
and typically that's about as much as you hear about them. But I got a chance to meet one. Well, not just one, but I got a chance to meet some of them. And those guys are pack mules, man.
Yeah. What kind of reputation do they hold?
Oh, they are Gurkhas. They're used by the British, and I think they still use them. They're a tribe organization, but they're known warriors, known from history, known warriors, and they're in the British Army, but they're a separate group. They're all Gurkhas. They're all from the same tribe, and they're known for just being great partisan forces. Getting into places and then sort of staking it out and sort of steering the main body into an area. Steering the Army or Navy, Army or Marines, whatever it may be, into particular indigenous areas.
Okay.
They have a history. They have a great history, man.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, you should look them up because
Yeah, I will.
they're a huge part of. Well, they're very expensive, and one time they wanted to disband them because they're expensive organization. They keep up, but they really have a great tradition and a great reputation.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely do my homework because, like I was telling you earlier before the interview, my grandfather from England served. He served in Cyprus in the 50s there, and
I wish you were still here. You could ask him about Gurkhas.
Yeah.
So maybe ask your dad about. Well, your dad was in.
So that's on my mom's side.
Okay.
So I'd have to ask my uncle about that. My mom's brother.
Okay. So because Gurkhas are a very famous group.
Yeah.
They're pretty neat.
That is pretty cool.
But anyway, so we was there for training with the Brits.
Mm-hmm.
While we was there, we got an opportunity to earn our British wings, our British Airborne Wings.
Yeah. Okay. So that's how you got them.
Yeah, we tended. Okay. So I got them. We was there for I think 2 weeks, and we did jumps with the British. With the British, had British airplane. You had to jump. You had to use their parachute. You have to jump out of their airplanes.
Was that like a little foreign to you with their equipment, or?
No, it's pretty much the same process.
Yeah.
You know, parachute's a little bit different. They got the old twist. At that time, they had the old twist type. You hit it and it released all the buckles.
Yeah.
We didn't have that. We had ours up here, and you pull down on these release pins. But theirs was all sort of you plugged into right here, like you would have like 3 or 4 of those things coming right in here, and so. What you would do, you would turn it and hit it, and then it would release you from the chute.
Okay.
From the chute strap. So anyway, while we was there, this British organization was having like an organization day where they was having competition and things like that amongst themselves. So they challenged us to a rope pull or to a what do you call it when you're pulling the rope?
Like a tug of war.
Tug of war.
Yeah.
Thank you. So they challenged us to a tug of war,
okay.
And so my Rangers. We were there. My company was there, and at the time I was a platoon sergeant. But these guys here, I picked these guys here, and we went up against these guys. We beat them 3 out of 3 times. So
okay.
they was
yeah.
So the bet was you buy a case of beer.
Yeah.
You get a case of beer. So their commander had to present us a case of beer here because we beat his guys.
That's a case of beer?
That's a case of beer.
I thought you were getting an award there.
Yeah,
well, I guess
man.
It is an award, but it's a case of beer.
Yeah, and man, we laid into it too. So
that's what happens when you go 3-0. You get some points. There you go.
Yeah, and that's his regimental sergeant major right there, man. That's awesome. You can see on the faces of that's them over there.
Yeah,
all of them with their heads down.
Yeah.
Because we had humiliated them, I guess you'd say, because man, we really wore them out.
And then these guys are licking their chops at the beer. There,
absolutely, man. Yeah, so that was pretty good.
You got a pretty big smile going on.
Yeah, too. Yeah. Looking at that beer, man. They got great beer over there. So, but anyway, that was the history on that, man. It was a great time.
That's awesome.
Being over there in England, and when they let us go to London and hang out for a night, so it was pretty cool. Yeah, pretty cool stuff. This one here, just a picture of my company in Fort Lewis. No, we was at Fort Benning. This was Fort Benning, Georgia. So this probably here about 200 guys, and this is the group that I had at 3rd Ranger Battalion when I was a first sergeant. So I was the first sergeant there with them, and this one here was. I think I'll talk a little bit about my drill sergeant days.
Yep.
But there's one of my drill sergeant pictures there. You can see me there in the middle.
Oh yeah. You got the hat on, eh?
Yeah, man. So that was a great time. 3 years of doing that. Just turned out a lot of great guys who went on to serve our military.
And that seemed to be a pretty influential 3 years of your career, right?
Yeah,
it kind of
really
kick-started everything off.
Yeah, it really is, man. It really is. And just to have the impact. I tell people all the time I've been dealing with men all my life, and that's a fact.
Yeah.
All my life I've had to train men, help men.
Yes, sir.
And this one here was my time when I was a ranger instructor there at Fort Benning.
Mm-hmm.
At the time it was called Fort Benning, but this here was our York team where we were responsible for training some of the light leader organizations in the Army. That was a pretty big deal.
Yep.
Okay. This here is I told you about this is Regimental Sergeant Major from Australia, and he was our class TAC guy. He was the guy who was responsible for leading our class and making sure that our class was, we were doing all the course requirements and stuff. But got to know him very well. Great guy. had his accent and stuff. We used to
Yeah.
you know, emulate, just
Another shrimp on the
him
Barbie
around.
or what?
Yeah, man. So he got a lot of flack from us and stuff,
Yeah.
but he was pretty cool, and that was my class there in the Sergeant Major Academy. That's a big deal. That's the granddaddy of them all, I guess you call it, when you go to the Sergeant Major Academy. So
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
so that's pretty cool. And of course, I don't know if you saw this, but this here is
This is from your induction
yeah,
to
it's
the
my
Ranger
induction.
Hall of Fame.
Yes, sir. That's what it is, and that's here's the medal that they give you from doing that, and that was pretty cool.
This was last summer, right?
Yep.
Ranger
Yep.
Hall of Fame.
Yep.
I didn't.
Yep, and that's the shrine there that the your name and stuff is placed in. So that was a pretty big deal. It's a great way to top off a military career that you inducted into the Ranger Hall of Fame. It's only
I'd say so.
There's only a few people that's been put in there, and
how many people go in per year? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Usually it's 18 to 20.
Okay.
Usually 18 to 20 every year. So they just had another one this past year. So, but anyway, that is
special.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
That's a pretty big deal. So, like that.
Try to find.
Yeah, that was cool. Well, I think there's a picture in there. That picture in there they took out, but this here is the one that's posted there at the at the museum. Yeah.
Yeah.
This one is posted on permanent display there at the museum. On the front of the cover there, you see what the museum looks like. That's
right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's pretty neato.
This is in Georgia.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's pretty cool. And
that's amazing.
See what else I got here. Recently, this was in 2000. I think it was right before, or right in there in the midst of COVID.
Yep.
Received this award from the governor of the state, Miss Kay Ivey, State of Alabama, 2020 Governor's Annual Alabama Veteran of the Year Award. So I was awarded the Veteran of the Year in 2020, and that was pretty cool.
Yep.
To receive that from the governor, and pretty nice little display there of just continuing to lead and try to make a difference in my community.
For sure. And you're heavily involved in your community now.
Yeah, man, I do a lot.
Yeah,
everywhere.
Take us through that. Like, what's your day-to-day looking like in the community, and what organizations are you involved with?
Yeah, so as you can see, I'm with the American Legion Post 555 Matthew Blunt, which is here in Pelham.
Yep.
And we have a lot of activities within that organization. We do a lot of things in the community, such as award kids for outstanding academics. We do something like that with them every quarter. We have what they call Boys State, Girls State. This is where they teach kids about the government agencies from municipalities all the way up to the state level.
Okay.
So they usually do that either at Troy University, or they do it at in Montgomery, where they take the kids and they put them in leadership positions. Like, okay, you guys are senators, you guys are representative, you guys are you're the House Representative leader. So they put them in all these leadership
kind of like
positions.
A mock trial of it all.
Yeah, man, and these kids get to do that for a few days, and the feedback from those kids, man, is it's extraordinary. It just really is something that they just really appreciate having the opportunity to go do that. So that's another big thing. We have a lot of things that we focus on the family, focus on the kids.
Yeah.
We have this oratorical. I think I told you a little bit about the oratorical.
Yes, you did.
This girl here is from she's from Birmingham School of Art. There, she was originally won the national event, which paid her $25,000. But she win at every level she was winning that she won. She actually also earned finances as well, earned money as well. And so we do this annually. So we got another one coming up this year.
Okay.
Next year, I should say, in February 2024.
How do you apply for the scholarship?
This is if this little app right here, or this little QR code.
Yep.
If they scan on that code there,
yep,
they can it'll take them right to the site to where they can see all the information regarding.
For sure.
This is given to the high school counselor. The counselors will have this, and if they talk to their counselors about participating, that also my contact information is on here. So it's a great program.
Awesome.
I love this program. It's available to any high school kid from the 9th grade through the high school. So, say for instance, if a ninth grader goes out for it this year, and he doesn't win, he can go back 3 more times. So he can go back when he's in the 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade. So it's a great way to actually get involved and make some money.
That's great.
For your scholarship, scholarship fund. So it's a great program. Also, we have a shooting club, a shooting team.
Yep.
Where they've won national acclaim. Just this year, we have a girl who is going back to the finals, the national finals for shooting. These are air rifles and stuff. Man, we even had one kid who went to the Olympics for their shooting ability.
Really?
So yeah. So, and then too, the last thing is just talk about is American Legion Baseball. American Legion Baseball is the baseball players kids who want to play summer ball. American Legion, our post sponsored baseball every year, and our teams have done very well. They did very well this year. They was in the playoff, and of course, I think it was the Troy team that beat them, and Troy team is gone to, I think it was the world champ. They became like world champs. So like 2 years in a row. So anyway,
cool.
It's a great opportunity for the kids. And one of the things I shared they asked me to do the invocation this past year. And one of the things I shared at the invocation was how many famous baseball players had played American Legion basketball. American Legion baseball. And some of the names that was in there, man, it was like they were shocked because nobody knew that these people had actually played American Legion baseball. So I don't have my list in front of me, so I better not start calling names. Mess them up. But it was a lot of the greats had played baseball with American Legion baseball. So
did you play sports growing up?
Yes, I did.
What'd you play?
I played football.
Football.
Well, I played other sports too, but the one
that was your main.
Yeah, my main one was football.
Yeah,
so football was my thing. I played basketball too. A very small school, so you almost had to play because if you didn't play, you didn't have anybody to play. So,
exactly.
So I played basketball. I played football, and baseball. We had a community baseball team, but
for sure,
football was my thing.
Yeah. Well, especially down in the South, like football's life down here.
Yeah, football was it, but I wasn't anything special. But again, it was part of my growing up, and I attribute a lot to. It contributed a lot to who I became. So.
Oh, for sure. Playing organized sports is a lot of kids' first interactions with different personalities and learning how to deal with people and all. Like sports teaches you so much about life and social aspects than almost anything ever would, right?
Yeah.
So
that's
really cool.
I hate that we don't have more of those things, especially for boys, because one thing about in England, everybody has to serve in the military.
Okay.
That's not the case in America. It's all volunteer force.
Yep.
And really, you don't have a lot of those disciplines that kids can get had they served in the military. They would get. And I realize it's not for everybody, but it would certainly help. I think us to create a better community of workers and people who can commit to doing things that they should be doing, like taking care of a family, that kind of stuff. But
for sure.
But I think in the absence of having them serve in the military, being on a sports team, I think is the next closest thing to really help shape young men.
For sure.
When I look at what Nick Saban is doing with the young men there
in
Alabama, what your coach is doing with the Bulls, that is just has a tremendous impact on who you become. And I just think I just wish everybody was participating in something that would give them that kind of discipline.
Yeah, it definitely teaches you a lot of life lessons that you don't realize you're learning at the time, but when you have, and it teaches you that routine base too, and you don't, like I said, you don't realize it at the time, but it stays with you. It really does.
Yeah. Well, that's great, man. It's great to hear.
Could you tell us a little bit about your role as a licensed and ordained minister of the gospel, and how this aspect of your life intertwines with your military experiences?
Yeah, I appreciate the question. For me, when I retired in 2001, I always thought that when I retired from the military that I was going to become my goal was to become a warden at a prison.
Okay.
And I was going to do prison, and I was going to work my way up to be the warden. That was my thing. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to be a warden. Warden's going to be my next goal. And I got a rude awakening because that's not what God had in mind for me.
Yeah.
And so I really, what happened, the sort of, I don't know, sort of put ice on everything was, I had an injury. I thought I brought the picture with me. My last jump at when I was at McCord Air Force Base in up there in Tacoma, Seattle. I broke my right femur. I had a parachute accident that basically ended my airborne career, and the injury was of such a nature that I could not jump again. And so, after shattering my right femur, thinking that I would just heal and go back to doing what I was doing was not in the cards. Okay,
Yep.
So that was a career change. Either now I'm going to have to go back to being a leg, and the leg was what we call people who didn't jump out of airplanes or who didn't, who didn't ride mechanized, who didn't ride vehicles or whatever. But a leg was an infantry guy who just walked.
Yeah.
Everywhere he went, his thing was to get there by walking.
Yeah.
And so, it's just like if I couldn't be a ranger, a ranger command sergeant major doing the things that rangers do, I really didn't want to. Suddenly the fire was gone, basically. So, because it took me over 2 years to heal.
For
so
sure.
Once
that's a pretty serious injury.
Yeah, it was a very serious injury. And like I said, what happened is my commander and I, we both came out of the aircraft at the same time. Somehow or another, our chutes was just insisted on it. They were gonna intermingle, and his parachute took the air from my chute. And when his parachute took the air from my chute, I dropped. I was too low to pull my reserve, so I just had to burn in, as we call it. I burned in, and that's how I shattered my right femur.
Wow.
And
so you're coming in hot.
Yeah. So the first jump I never walked away from was that jump, and that was like jump 200. So unfortunately, that ended most things for me at that time. And I stayed on a little while longer after that. Got healed and stuff. Went on to become a brigade command sergeant major, but it wasn't the kind of work I wanted to do. And so I realized that I asked somebody, said over the years, they're like, when do you know when to retire? They said, you'll know. That's all they would say. You'll know. When it comes time for you to retire, you'll know. You'll just know. And sure enough, one day I was out running in the morning, trying to get back, just trying to get back to being a little bit of running or whatever if I could, and it hit me. It's time to retire. And I went in that day and put my retirement papers in, and I retired. That was actually before 9/11, and so that was the beginning of okay, what do you do now, kind of thing. And so my wife and I was going to a church at the time. Had been invited by some friends, and this church was a very charismatic church. It was non-denomination. Christian church, but it was non-denomination. They didn't subscribe to being Baptist or Presbyterian or anything of that nature. And really felt right at home for us, and our family, kids all enjoyed the place, and that became home for us. That became a family. And it was, again, I would say my leadership, doing things. Became a prayer partner, and I started doing things, and the pastor saw my leadership, and he said, hey, man, can I talk to you after church? And sure enough, we had a conversation, and next thing I know, man, he put me through one of his pastoral training programs, and brought me on as a pastor there this was in Seattle, and taught me what it meant to be a pastor and how to be a pastor, and so I stayed there with him for like 8 years. Yeah. And then I realized that I was being called home, which is Alabama, and so my wife and I moved here in 2009, and we planted a church here in Hoover, Alabama, back in 2009. So we started at the Old Berry Middle School. So
I love that.
Right there in the cafeteria, man.
And it seems like the leadership role has just followed you around to whatever you were doing in life at the time, right?
Absolutely.
And it seems like you're a pretty big family, man.
Yeah.
You have 5 adult children, 14 grandchildren, and 1 great-grandson. So congratulations on being a great-grandfather. That's amazing.
Thank you very much, man. I love my grandkids. I tell people that if I'd known it was going to be so great with my grandkids, I would have had them first. So just one of the things that really is inspiring for me. I'm happy that I'm able to hang out with them.
For sure.
One of my grandkids, she's a singer, and she's getting me tickets. She's bought tickets for me and her to go to a concert in Seattle here in upcoming days.
Okay.
I think next weekend. So Lauren Daigle.
Okay.
She sings like Lauren Daigle sings,
I like it.
and she knows how much I love Lauren Daigle's music,
Mhm.
and so when she found out that she was coming to Seattle for a concert, she called me and said, "Papa, what are you doing what are you doing on the 18th of November?" I was like, "I don't know, whatever." And she said, "You want to go to a concert?" I'm thinking, concert? What kind of concert? She said, Lauren Daigle. Oh yeah,
Yeah, you're
Lauren
in.
Daigle. So
You're in.
she's taking me to a Lauren Daigle concert there in Seattle, man, on the 18th.
That'll be a nice night out.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
you go.
And she's married. She's the one that got my great grandson.
Amazing.
And but she knows how much I love her music and how much I always want her to sing sing the songs that she sings.
Mm-hmm.
And so she invited me there for a concert. So I thought that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And the fact now, like, you know, you're retired, but you're still heavily involved in the community,
Yeah.
and then you get to spend
Yeah.
more time with your
Yeah,
family
man.
now. That's just amazing.
Yeah, we do prison ministry. I do that 3 times a week. I'm down in Columbiana on Thursdays, teaching guys how to be dads. So
Yep.
some of those guys, a lot of those guys are going to be getting out of jail soon, and they're going back to their communities. So one of the things we try to help them with is how to be good fathers and how to, create relationships, because a lot of these guys have been locked up for a while. They try to go back and do old school. You can't do old school with kids
Yeah.
today. So we do that on every week, and then we do some youth training up in Birmingham at what they call the DY, the Department of Youth Services. We have guys in there that we're mentoring on life skills. So
Yeah.
so again, boys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Boys, men. Again, I'm always finding myself with that segment of people. You
Yeah.
know? So I enjoy that. I realize what the calling is, and I just try to be there.
Yeah.
Again, follow the motto. The best thing. The great the way to lead people is set the example. If you set the example for people, and that's what Jesus did. Jesus has always set the example for what he wanted people to do. He didn't ask people to do things he didn't do. So when he washed their feet, man, it was the example that he gave. And so I figure if he can wash feet, man, I can wash feet too. So that's my attitude on it.
Yes,
Greatest
sir.
example of leadership is leadership by example.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And hey, that's beautiful that you do that. It's great to hear, and you're rehabilitating these young men to come back into the community and everything like that. And again, leading by example. Absolutely blown away by your whole story and everything like that. And we're just about to wrap up here, but before I let you go, would you mind explaining this this figure here?
Yeah. This is a statue done by Terrence. The guy is Terrence Patterson,
Okay.
and he's no longer with us. He's passed away, but he did a lot of these for military people. He has a website. I think his wife and his son continue the business, but this is a ranger coming up out of the mud and clay, the mud of a swamp of Panama. So it's a great statue. Every ranger who've ever seen this knows exactly what this means. This says this is who we are, and it's a great statue. This normally given to you if you leave, once you leave the unit. Somebody was looking for something to give you as a going away gift.
Yep.
You get this here for that. So I don't
Wow.
remember which organization I got that one from. I think it was Fort Benning. And these items here are just these are the items that I got that I brought back with me from Panama when we took over when we put Manuel Noriega out of power. So these were some of the items that we captured there, and they allowed me to keep them. So
Pretty cool artifacts.
yeah. So those things, I try to keep them as clean as I can. It's sometimes can be a little difficult. This here it's a little bit falling apart on me, but this thing here is a British soldier. We had something he wanted. I forgot what it was. I think one of our shirts or something. He wanted it so bad, but he was willing to give us this thing that he had gotten from a Russian soldier. So
Is that just a bunch of like regimental pins, or?
yeah, these are pins that the Russian soldiers are issued,
Okay.
and the Russian soldier traded traded it to an England guy for something that the English guy had. The English guy had, and the English guy traded it to me for something he wanted that I had. So that's how I with this, man.
Yeah.
So it's, you can see I've had it for a very long time. So I think this is back in the. Yeah, it was back in like '92 or something. I don't know. It's been a long time.
That's pretty cool.
But yeah, those are all Russian emblems, and I think this is when they were still the Soviet Union. So
wow, it's got some history on it.
Yeah, it really does. So I've been had it, man. Hey, if he's out there somewhere, man, I got your stuff, man.
I love that.
Yeah. So I think that's pretty much. I think we covered most of the stuff.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about? You got any more questions on there?
No, I think that's about it. I really appreciate you coming in and coming to our facility down here, bringing all your stuff and sharing your story with me and our fans. And ladies and gentlemen, Command Sergeant Major Jerry Lewis McClain, thank you so much, and thank you for your service.
Well, thank you all. Thank you all for recognizing the military veterans, and I look forward to joining you all here at some of your games. So one of these days I get to drop the pucket.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're having you out. You're coming up here right in the suite.
The cleaner, right?
Yeah.
I mean, hey, the cleaner's going to drop the pucket.
We gave him a hockey nickname. I said you had an ER or a Y to everyone's last name, so he's Cleaner.
All right. God bless you.
See you, folks.